Right, so let's start this session with 3 presentations, bringing in different perspectives to gender and migration. And the first presentation is by Milika or Nikki Fatai, who recently graduated from Unitec. And this presentation today is from her postgraduate degree thesis, A Quest for Identity, her own personal experience and other first daughters of Tongan migrants in New Zealand. Nikki.
Thank you, Valia. Hi, everybody. I just want to take this moment just to acknowledge Valia for inviting me. Much appreciated. To Sandra Kailahi, Sandra, Valia connected me to Sandra. In our first coffee, she asked me, "Who are you? Who is Milika?" And I couldn't give her any explanation. I couldn't even come up with the words to say, who am I? So I went home, wrote up a paragraph of who I am. And then the second coffee, she didn't ask me, but I was so prepared that I wanted to give her a long paragraph in terms of who I was. This actually came up with my topic in search of my identity as a Tongan woman in New Zealand. I must apologize that I'm actually talking from work because we have vaccination downstairs. So apologies if the loud honking and everything, that's a vaccination outside.
That's the reality, huh?
So I would like to present my pre-recorded presentation. In my Tongan introduction, my honor of respect to our Heavenly Father, I acknowledge and express my respect before all scholars and their field of expertise in the education world, especially to each and everyone in this platform. Thank you to the organizer who have allowed me this opportunity. Through this presentation, I'll be using Tongan words and translating it to English to give proper flow of cultural appropriateness. This presentation is based on my recent research that aim to explore the narrative of the first daughters who belong to the Tongan diaspora in New Zealand through applying Talanoa method or talking. It is a quest for identity, first daughters of Tongan migrants in New Zealand. And just a bit of a background about Tonga. We're also known as the Friendly Island, located north of New Zealand near Fiji and Samoa, and is home to 107 people. Here in New Zealand, there is over 82,000, and over 40,000 are Tongan women. Tongan culture involves different variables. Genealogy is one that is fundamental part of anga whakatonga, or the Tongan way. This provides in the Tongan context where you come from as a person, where does your family come from in Tonga, and what church community do you belong to. Gender role is another variable determined by Tongan culture. As a Tongan woman, we are higher in rank in the Tongan society than men, especially first daughters or the eldest daughter. It is expected of the first daughter to fulfill a specific role. At the same time, the utmost respect is given to women, specifically to the sisters of your father. They are called whahu or mehitanga, also known as your paternal auntie. To know anga whakatonga, or the Tongan way, and the Tongan culture is to understand the 4 golden pillars, known as Fakama'opo'opo. This was established by Queen Saloti III. It is respect, whakaapa, humility, lototo, maintain relationship, tahiwa, and loyalty, mamahi imea. I then asked the question, how does gender and culture influenced the role of the Tongan daughter in New Zealand's diasporic Tongan family and extended community. My methods are using qualitative methodology. The second was Talanoa, or talking, an Indigenous Tongan research methodology used by understanding culture and emotions of the participants by deep talking. It is one of the paramount of this project, Talanoa. Halapua and Halapua stated, Talanoa is essentially a process of storytelling without concealment of what is and what is not important to the storytellers. Tala is talking and Noa is nothing or space. You combine the two, you have Talanoa, which is pretty much talking about nothing in particular. Yeah. Kakala framework. Professor Konaihe Luthaiman developed this framework. It's a metaphor used by Tongan women to make fragrant flowers and leaves woven together in a specific way according to each occasion. I hope I can play the talk out of our kakala, which are represented by the participant. One of the participants was known as Mogoi, so all of our participants were named a traditional flower. And her story was about her being a favorite auntie.
We can't hear it, Nikki.
Oh, okay. All right, too bad. That's sad. They were each of them had their own story to tell, and you can find it in my weblog as well. For the favorite auntie, she is a sibling of 10. As the eldest daughter, what was important to her was it started off as an obligation to do a first daughter's role. She became a people pleaser. It had shaped her, and she is now working at a government role. In fact, the one that's actually coordinating the vaccination here in South Auckland. But beautiful story told by Mohokoi. The second kakala is told by Galospani. She's the youngest of our kakala of 5. She's still learning, yet she loves the research as she was finding herself and the role itself being a first daughter out of 5 siblings, all boys. What she wanted was to have that tauhiwa between her and her brothers in order for her to gain relationship with her niece. So yes, she has also identified that she has to be close with her mom in order to know what she can do. So what's the knowledge that's passed down through her mom and also to herself, she's able to carry on. Yeah. The story of Hone. Hone comes with a lot of experience around being the eldest daughter of 4. She is the first child in her family to gain a bachelor. So this was a huge thing in the Tongan community. She is very active in the church. What she found difficult was actually taking upon herself to do all of the roles as a first daughter, including being an auntie, and not asking for help. So she had raised a very good story around us being a whaho or paternal aunt. We have a birthright And in that structure of the Tongan culture, whatever the auntie says, because they're higher rank than the brothers or the father's siblings, we have a say in everything, but that's actually not the case nowadays. The story of the obedient, which is done by Siale. Siale, very knowledgeable and very known in the Tongan community, especially the church and youth. She has given us experience around the Tongan culture itself in depth into the weaving process that we had done. So with Siale, she is embedded, or what we know as very traditional. Everything is traditional, where she walks around with her girdle or mats every day is a form of respect, but also it is what she tells in her story, what her mum has actually embedded in her is nothing best from but following God's will. So, yeah. And my identity story. This project itself really resonates with me as a person, as a first daughter. It was a journey for me to actually find myself in ways of, was my struggle the same as everybody else? Or am I struggling on my own because of my own family story or my own background from the island? I didn't know what I don't know, and I actually can say I'm still learning in this space. However, this research has actually given me the foundation to find myself. Yeah. As we talk and weave, themes started to come. I would like to share these themes and the reflection only because it educates me. And I think it plays a big role in my presentation only because it's a continuous conversation that we do as first orders, we do serve and to conquer. We have to serve others. We are servant leaders because we help our siblings or we take care of our younger siblings. We abide by the 4 golden pillars because that's what we are as Tongan women. But also we found that the voice within, we're able to say it. Throughout the project, we have everybody else. We catered to everybody else's needs, and then we forgot what we wanted. And what we wanted was always at the bottom of the list, where we cater for the community, to the church, our immediate circle, our siblings and our family, the funerals and the birthdays, and then what does Milika want? Yeah, so it kind of took me about 5 years to have this voice brought out of me from Valia, and this seed planted by Sandra. What is my voice, and what can I do to make my voice heard and for my story? Just a reflection out of it for all of us. We sacrifice, and this just links back to my themes. The first order's belief and values versus the parents' beliefs and values. This came about, parents knows best. If you're an islander, that's what is embedded into you. Parents knows best. And yeah. In regards to the cultural influence, it will always be there. The hierarchy side of things of the fahu in our culture, as much as you give, you're not expected to receive anything. So you are to give. That's in respect to your culture and to your father's sister. And my voice in my struggle, as a researcher and a co-participant, the struggle is real. But with the help of everyone, our Talanoa and our Taulalanga, which is weaving, resulted into our beautiful girdle here. Yeah. So, through my research using Talanoa methodology, I have noticed that there is a strong relationship between the Tongan culture, identity, and first daughters. Tongan culture influenced the first daughters strongly in a way of how they become a leader of their family. All of the first daughters had shared the experience of how they learn, handle, and look after the future of their own family. I will leave you with this, a Tongan proverb that states, "O sikia velenga," giving one's all to velenga. States my journey with this project. This saying is about how powerful a person's ambition or desire can be through hard work. The result may not be great, but the researcher is still happy. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki. I know you wanted it to be perfect, but technology always, plays its own thing. But it was wonderful to hear your story and hear it at the end of a long journey. And what I was part of that journey, and it was a great honor. Thank you for allowing me to be part of that journey. That sort of identity negotiation. Female migrants often or always have to go through, and how you negotiated or you keep negotiating your responsibility as a first daughter of Tongan migrants, and at the same time trying to also have carve your own path, so to speak, as a woman who lives in Aotearoa. Of a Tongan background. So it's very complex and very rich. So thank you for sharing that. And also thank you to your participants. I would encourage all of you here to go to Nikki's website because you can hear all the voices that we didn't hear today. So any questions, any comments you have from Nikki's presentation? Glenda and Yuki, did you put your hand up or was it from the previous? Yeah, okay, Yuki and then Glenda.
Thank you very much, Mikala, for your presentation. I really appreciated, you talking about the complexity between I and we and the burden that comes with being a first daughter. But maybe this might be like a really weird question, but as a, as a first generation Tongan woman in Aotearoa, I wonder if you've encountered any kind of like how do you, what do you think about, or maybe I might be asking it wrong, but what is your experience with like Western feminism in Aotearoa?
To be honest, I don't know what I don't know, so I'm quite closed on outside world. My struggle was just that I couldn't find myself. I didn't know myself. My voice wasn't there. My voice wasn't heard. Even if I were to ask my dad anything, I would actually kind of book an appointment kind of thing and go and sit on the floor and ask him whether it was a good time to talk. He was he's a minister, so I see the villagers come and see him in that way. So I thought I go through that way as well. But in terms of feminism, yeah.
So it sounds like academia kind of provides you like an agency and resilience for you to, explore your experience. Yeah, so thank you very much for sharing that, very powerful presentation.
Thank you. It is a personal journey. For me, I lost my sister, so I lost myself. Education was me trying to learn back if I could actually be able to learn. So that comes with not only academic, but also accepting my own culture in a sense that it was, quite personal for me.
Glenda?
Yes, thank you so much, Mika, for a very inspiring presentation. Actually, it touches a very personal chord to me because I have a first daughter. And my question is, I'm in Canada and then originally from the Philippines. So I could relate with the strict system and the values and then coming to a different space. My question is, how did you reconcile the so-called freedom or liberality offered by a Western, context vis-a-vis, the strict traditions coming from your Tongan culture? Like, how did you manage that growing up and finding yourself? Because you gave me a reflection to what I did to my daughter.
It was a struggle. So when we moved, so I'm Tongan born, so we moved here when I was a teenager. So when we came here, we have to, all Tongan, everything is Tongan at home. And when we went to school, I had to adapt. I wanted so much to adapt to New Zealand, to be accepted, to have New Zealand friends and so forth, that I didn't like going home. And for me, it wasn't until I fully accepted my own identity and for me as me, until I got to this very deep conversation of Talanoa and finding myself. So it has been a very long journey. In some instances or occasions where I still can't wrap my head around the tradition, especially church stuff. I don't understand why we contribute so much when we're earning very little to our own family. But the push and pull between me and my parents are still ongoing. Sometimes I do understand what they're saying. I have to deliver it differently in order for them to understand where I'm coming from. Generation change, environments change. So 5 years ago, it's a straight no. But now we kind of have that a little bit of conversation where I can come back 2 weeks later after the first conversation and then go, oh, okay, we can do it, but you have to be there. As a first daughter, you have to show your face, you have to contribute, you have to do certain, tick the boxes before you leave. So an 8 hours celebration of a birthday, I have to show my face for 5 hours and then I can leave. So still ongoing.
Yeah. Marion, and that's
just a comment, just building on Yuki's question. I totally agree. I feel that, well, first of all, thank you, Milika, for a great presentation. I think we got through it. We're all having these technical difficulties, but I think the sentiment of the identity and like the comparison of the I and we, and to continue to find your agency through academia and through other ways. And when Yuki talks about Western feminism, and going back to the history for Samoans, was the pre-Christianity around women being elevated in the village until the Fakama'opo'opo was placed in the women's village, which was the premier village. And so just the spread of patriarchy through that and how it's informed culture and change, and I think it's the evolution the evolution of our culture, evolution of recognizing, when you say first daughters, first generation, you know, firstborn New Zealand generation, and we all go through that. So I'd love to see more of your writing as you explore those notions and as how you evolve and grow. And just also condolences with loss of your sister. You really feel that for you, sis. But thank you for showing up today and that great presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you all, and thank you, Nikki.